When you see those Cardinals pecking away, you know it's time for another edition of Cardinal Territory. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Hayes, joined by Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn, who was absent for the last show because he was in a tree stand and he was hunting. And I would be remiss, gentlemen, hello, if I didn't start by getting an update on what sort of carcass that Lance ended up with. Lance?
I was Ofer in Ohio, so now I'm back in Illinois, and I've got one that I'm looking for here. But in Ohio, saw one that I would have liked to have shot, but you know me, I'm very by the book. Wasn't quite shooting light. Didn't really seem very ethical person, so I didn't make the shot on the guy. When you can't really see, but you think it's who it is, next thing you know, you get up to him like, oh, that's the wrong one. Anyone who's hunted knows that feeling. There's nothing like the old ground shrinkage, as they call it. But no, I couldn't quite see him. So that's the hard part of hunting. You know, you got to have the right shot, right angle, all those good things. And you know, he just didn't present himself for me for that harvest, unfortunately.
Kyle, are you disappointed?
Yeah, I mean, you do your homework and you do everything you can, and then the deer changes course on you. What are you gonna do? It stinks. I feel for you, but I
Yeah.
think you have enough acres to find the one that you need there in Illinois. You should be okay.
Yeah, Ohio was just kind of a bonus hunt anyway. So, you know, you're just
Gotcha.
there, just
Okay.
get stand, get your feet wet. But yeah, so unfortunately that was how that went. So we're back in the rut in Illinois here. So I might go out this afternoon and see what I get, you know, see what pops out.
Yeah,
For the
absolutely.
record, it's a compound. It's an estate. It's not a normal home. We do want to talk a little Cardinals baseball, and I think it's fair to say that one thing is clear as Heim Bloom takes over and starts to sort of piece together the roster for this year's team, the upcoming season. They're going to need some pitching because Sonny Gray has agreed to a trade. You think they could probably get that done where there's a will, there's away. Miles Michaelis is a free agent, so that leaves the Cardinals with Liberatore, McGreevy, possibly Palante, and Kyle Leahy, who's intriguing because he was so good out of the pen. Always wants the ball, has a rubber arm. They're going to bring him to spring training and stretch him out as a starter. I think he's going to end up in the rotation. So I wanted to start with Matthew Liberatore. Start with you, Lance. Libby last year, first year, they were worried about his innings. First year as a full time starter. Started the season off with really good month and another good month in the middle. Ran into some problems, had a little fatigue issue, but finished really strong. You guys were both teammates of Liberatore. So, Lance, what do the Cardinals have in Libby?
I think we're kind of in a still wait and see, but I think there's a lot of good signs and a lot of good building blocks going forward. For him, he's going to be able to stack years of starting. Last year was a good building block after a year of throwing out the bullpen and really understanding how stuff plays. And then last year was a hey, how's the year going to go on as a starter? The ups and downs of the body, the workload, the in between start workload. Because I know Libby's a thrower. He's going to have to find that in between of throwing too much and not enough, and the only way to do that is by doing it. So I think next year he's just going to be even better. Those times where he was, you know, maybe had a down couple starts won't be as long, and that's the part of you know doing it for year in and year out. You learn to get through those quicker, or you learn to make them only a start or two, and they don't turn into a 4 or 5 start stretch like they did at times this year. So I think he's on the up and up, and I think last year was a good sign. And you know, just getting to do it again, well, he'll be even better at it because he's already done it once.
Cal, jump in. We're under new rules. Just jump in where you feel right.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Jim. I appreciate you giving me the approval to talk.
Well,
Uh,
usually,
I think
usually
you
you
know.
like
I'll
raise your
say
hand.
something.
Excuse
It's
me,
more,
excuse me.
yeah,
And
but I
now,
mean, I don't want to interrupt Lance. Like I'll interrupt you to ask a question, but I'm not going to interrupt
That's fair.
Lance, just out of respect. Not that I don't respect you, Jim. You're a very respectful
Hmm.
person. I respect you. Back to Libby. I think Libby is going to have a step forward and be even better. I think if there's one thing that he probably really took from this year is that there is a difference in how your stuff plays as a reliever and a starter. And he had figured out how his stuff played really well as a reliever in the last couple of years. And then this year, he really figured out how it played as a starter. And I think that's something that as you figure that out and as you can carry that from year to year, that's when you can really take steps forward. And I know it's a process that maybe fans aren't a huge, they don't necessarily like it because it takes time, but it's a real thing. When you're trying to use 4 or 5 pitches instead of simplifying and using 2 or 3, it's a big deal. And then when you're going through a lineup 2 or 3 times, it's a big deal. So he's a guy that I look for to be a really good pitcher for the Cardinals this year.
He just turned 26. He's been around a long time. I think people forget he's still a young guy. But Lance, one thing I noticed about Libby when he was in the bullpen, especially leverage situations, it seemed he pitched with more of an edge. Like there was a little growl to the things he did. And I saw some of that as a starter. How important is that for Libby to be that guy on the mound?
I think it's just finding who you are, right? I think it's one of those things that as a young kid, like you just said, he's 26 and he's still kind of figuring out who his demeanor is, who he is, and who he wants to be out there. When you come up and don't have success, it's hard to kind of have that. I think you're starting to see him have success, and then he's going to get comfortable in who he is, and you're going to start seeing that he's going to be able to go out there and just compete instead of being like, "Hey, I need to show everybody I belong." It turns into, "Hey, I'm going to go out here and compete," and then that's when you take that next step. So I think Libby needs to know he belongs, and he's proven that he belongs. Now it's like, "Hey, how can I go dominate as much as I can?" And that's when that growl comes out. So I'm looking forward to him having that. Hey, I'm in the rotation. I've shown that I can be in the rotation. Now I can just go compete, and that's what it's about. Where when you're coming up and young, and you're having ups and downs, and you're struggling a little bit, it's you can't really be yourself. But now he's gonna be able to be himself. I hope, and you're gonna see. I think he's gonna be even better when he gets to be able to do that.
If there's such thing as a learning process, which I believe there is, Andre Palante had a learning process last year. Some good, some not so good. You almost feel for him because he wears it. You look at him and you know if he's coming off a good outing or a bad outing. I assume dealing with that is part of that process, Kyle. But you know Palante pretty well. Do you think he's a guy that could or should be part of the Cardinal rotation coming up?
Yeah, I think he should be. And I think if he's not, he's going to be a part of somebody's rotation because this stuff is really good. And he's going to get another opportunity. You just, if we probably look at, I didn't see all of his starts and just how the numbers were, but I'm sure there's probably 5 or 6, maybe 7 starts that probably weighed a little bit and skewed some of the numbers. So, overall, he probably was fairly average at what he's doing. Hey, what's going on? How are you? So I think that he's got to get another chance. I've been there where you have a down year and you're not the pitcher that you want to be. There could be a whole lot of other factors that go into it that cause some of the issues. And once again, he's also trying to figure out how the league is adjusting to him starting. I know that sounds crazy, but he just is. So, I look for him to have a bounce back year. And I really hope the Cardinals keep him and give him another chance because he's great for that clubhouse, awesome personality, and I think he's going to have another really good year.
What's the problem with Palante when things aren't going right in your view, Lance?
I think he runs away from contact when he starts giving up hits, and that's when the walks got him this year. I don't know if there was a different mindset, as in was he chasing strikeouts or chasing non-contact. And when you start doing that, that's when the walks go up. And when the walks go up, that ground ball seems to get through and cost you a run or two. And then the innings get longer. He's a ground ball specialist. So he needs to realize I'm not going to be able to chase strikeouts and be a high strikeout guy, but when I get the opportunity, go for it. But his problem last year, I think, from the get go was he tried to strike people out 0-0. When you're trying to strike people out 0-0, it turns to 3-2 real quick, and then you put a lot of stressful pitches on yourself, and then that's when the things snowball on you. So, number one thing he needs to think of first 2 pitches of an at bat, I'm trying to get a ground ball and get an out and go from there. And if I get the ability to get to a strikeout count, then go for it. But you can't strike anybody out 0-0, and I think that's what he was pressing to try to do last year. And then when you do that as a pitcher, it gets bad for you.
Now,
It's
you
so
guys
hard.
are.
He's such a thinker, right? He's such a thinker, and he prepares. He's like you said, Jim. He is hard on himself. He does wear it. Which, if I was having a sit down with him, and I've talked to him a lot, I would say, "Listen, Dre, you can't be so hard on yourself. I need to be able to look at you in the dugout and not know how the outing is going because you need to be able to move on to the next inning." That's tough. Easier to say, tough to do. But he's such a thinker, and when you're starting to look at either arbitration or other numbers like advanced statistics, trying to get your FIP here, your strikeout per nine there, like at the end of the day, getting outs is the goal. And if you can find a good process to get outs, you will be able to pitch for a long time. And yes, I look at a guy like Ranger Suarez. Why does Ranger Suarez not get a start in the postseason? I don't know, but it probably has something to do with velocity or strikeouts, whatever it is. Like, but Ranger Suarez is a stud. He gets outs at a very high clip. Andre Plante is really good, and he has a recipe to get outs. And like Lance said, pick your times where you need to get a strikeout and go get one. Other than that, go rattle through 5 or 6 innings as quick as you can and be that guy that is above average and is in the seventh inning all the time.
I root for that guy because he's a nice guy. I believe he does have good stuff. If you look at your screen right now, you see that one of these things is not like the other. Two are former athletes sitting on a pile of cash. The other guy's just a just a working man. Okay, and that brings us to one of our sponsors, Monarch Money. Lance, if you don't mind saying the title sponsor again, Monarch Money.
Monarch Money.
Thank you. All right. Lance Lynn endorses Monarch Money. I'm a mess because I didn't know how to track the bills and track the income and all that. But Monarch Money helps you deal with all that. It's an all in one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean interface on your laptop or maybe on your phone. And right now, just for our viewers, Monarch is offering 50% off its first year with code THECAT at monarch.com. If your finances are all over the place, you want them in one convenient place, and that's why you need Monarch Money. It's a difference maker. They also have an app that will help you figure out how to handle your money. So skip the mess, take this opportunity, and get with Monarch Money. Use the code THECAT at monarch.com. 50% off first year, monarch.com. I'm sorry, monarch.com, code THECAT.
I feel like this is a good time for Monarch Money, Manager Money, right? Meow with the cat. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
throw that in there with the promo code the cat. Don't you think, Jim? I think you should say that next time.
I just read what they tell me to read. I'm not a
Get
thinking
You
man.
got to
I'm
put
use
just
your
a
the
own
guy that.
cat.
swag on it, Cat. You got to put your own swag on it. Come on now.
Yep, yep. Right meow.
All right, meow,
Yeah.
meow. I think Monarch Money is the cat's meow. So we're talking
There
about
we go.
the Cardinals' potential starting rotation. I wanted to bring up a couple other guys. Like we saw McGreevy last year, young guy who doesn't wear it, seems to always have fun out there, always seems to be enjoying himself. And he had some success, small sample size. We saw big games. He pitched really well. Lance, what do you think the Cardinals may have in Michael McGreevy?
I think he could be a solid, 3-4 type starter. He's got all the pitches. He's got all the makeup for it. I don't think if you look at his stuff as a whole, it's very complementary to each other. I don't think he has a standout pitch or anything like that. But he knows how to pitch. He moves the ball around. He's not hey, I'm just going to use these two pitches and get you out. He's going to move around the strike zone, do his thing. So I think when you look at that without the high velocity and stuff like that, you kind of push him in the 3-4 range. But that doesn't mean he can't be very successful in the big leagues because he has all the pitches. So it's. I mean, they've pretty much shown it's the time to see what you got there. He's had success at all the levels. He's had success at times in the big leagues. Now, give him a chance to be with a big leagues all year, go the ups and downs, kind of like Libby had to do this year. That should be his spot next year, if that makes sense. So I think that's where he's at. And then hopefully you look at him at the end of next year, and then you have him and Libby. as your chance to, hey, these two are the guys that we can slot in at 3-4. Maybe one of them jumps to a 2, and then you're in a really good spot where you have two younger guys that have all the pitches to be successful. Then you can build around those two in the rotation, and I think they're similar age wise too, so it could be a good spot for them.
Kyle?
Yeah, I agree. I like McGreevy. He he
Go.
he's got stuff. I like how he really everything Lance said. Lance has taken all my information today and just really taken away the need for me to be here right now with all of his answers. But I
Stop
think
sending me your notes before.
good point. Good point. I think it'll be interesting to see how his swing and miss changes and maybe ticks up over a full year. Um, it's hard to. I know the game doesn't necessarily like starters like this that don't get swing and miss and don't have the projectable numbers, but he's just another guy. All throughout his career, he's gotten outs. He knows how to pitch, and you got to have guys like that.
All right, for the record, the bosses, our new bosses, Foul Territory, probably came from AJ Przinsky. They put it in a nice way. They were like, we want to see the guys like interact more. That was their way of saying, we'd like to see a little less jump and a little bit more of the other guys. So feel free to jump in, Kyle. I do want to, I do kind of want to steer it. Another guy who I find intriguing, we mentioned him, we talked about Kyle
Yeah, leave
Leahy,
it in
a
there.
guy who
Leave
I
it in
like
there.
a lot. Kyle Leahy was nasty out of the bullpen, and he would pitch back to back games. He would pitch. He didn't really care when he got the ball. I asked him about it, and I said, "Where does that come from?" He said, "I never want to say that I can't take the ball or I'm not ready." He always wants the baseball. And now they're going to give him a shot to stretch out and be in the starting rotation. That guy a little bit, really quiet, but when he's on the mound, he's intense. He's his own guy. Lance, what do you think about Leahy as a starter?
I think it's a no doubter. It really is. I think you saw. Here's the truth of the matter. He didn't want to get sent down, so he was always ready. He got screwed when we were with him, being sent down, being overused, and he's like, "No, I'm good. Every day I'm good. I don't want to go back down." So when you have a guy with that mentality, and then you're going to give him a chance to start, he's got a chance to say, "Hey, I don't want to go back to the bullpen. Watch me run with this shit." And that's what I think he is as a person. He's like, "I want to be good. I want to be a big leaguer. You give me the opportunity. I'm not turning anything down." So with all this stuff and his mental and the stuff that he's had to deal with in his career by going up and down and kind of he got taken off the roster. I think the year we played with him, he came into camp as a non-roster guy technically, and I was like, why is this guy not on a roster and how nobody picked him up when he was in spring training? They're like, oh, we don't know, we just kind of snuck him through. And I was like, he's kind of been screwed and now he's got a chance, so hopefully he runs with it, and I think he's got all the tools to do it.
Yeah, I think the other part of this that is beneficial for the Cardinals, just as a whole, right? If I'm looking at this from the higher up view, is his versatility is something that's not easily taught and is a little bit more rare. So if he goes into spring training and say they do find a veteran guy that they bring in, say a Quinn Matthews is taking that next step and he's ready. Well, now you have a couple options where you can either go to a six man for a little bit if you need to limit innings for some of these guys, or you can say, hey, Leahy, once again, I know this stinks, but there's going to be plenty of starts here for you this year. But we don't want to send you down because you have this ability to stay stretched out 2, 3, 4 innings at a time. And then when we do need a starter, you're ready to go. And that's going to be, your spot. Just offers a lot of flexibility, keeps him in the big leagues throwing meaningful innings and getting meaningful outs.
Yeah, I think so, no doubt. So you look at this year, the way that they're going to go about it. He's probably he's in 140 max inning thing. If Matthews is anything like they hope he's going to be, he's in the 140 inning range. You want Palante, if he's in there, there's your 160 with Libby. There's another 160 to hopefully a little bit more. But if you start doing that, there's a lot of innings to cover, and if you're going to need 8 guys to do it. So if you have those four right there, and then you have McGreevy with probably with his starting pass and stuff like that, he should be in the 140, 150 range. They're going to need another 150 guy, maybe two. Like if you look at it, or maybe 100 guy and 150 guy. So you got to figure out how to get these innings as starters because you have a young bullpen that did really good when they got put in their spots in the back end of the season. So how do you go backwards from there? And it's like we need to find multiple. We need to find 8 guys that can cover 5 to 6 innings a start, and that's where they're at. And they've got the makings of we just named 4 or 5. Now who's going to be the next 3 that step up, or what's going to be on the market for those guys that are not huge salaries.
And
So
this would be my proponent for keeping Sonny Gray and not trading him is because you look at these guys that you just named and how they pitched and what they're capable of. All of a sudden, you have 3 or 4 guys that you can pencil in for a low 4, high 3 ERA, maybe even better, and Sonny Gray leading the whole thing. And I
Yeah.
think we can agree that a good pitching staff can take some pressure off the offense, and that's the stability part of having a team that consistently wins.
Yeah.
And
And
that would be my
Sun
argument
can
for
teach
keeping
those guys a
Sonny.
lot.
And yep, and taking exactly and teaching those guys a lot as they go along because he wants to do that. I mean, we both saw Sonny, and you know Sonny really well. Like, I mean, how cool is it if those guys have Sonny Gray down there for their bullpens? Just talking and working with Dusty and working with Sonny and making changes and little adjustments that can reap big rewards.
So the young guys, Doyle, Quinn Matthews, Roby, Tink Hence, among others. Hello, that's your daughter. What's her name?
This is Novely. Yeah, she can't hear you right now, Jim. I probably prefer it that way. I got the headphones in.
Okay,
Just she's
just
she's just the pretty face of the
just,
family here.
just saying hi. So if those guys are part of the picture, then I think having a veteran like Sonny Gray would be a good thing. I have a feeling Sonny's gone. He already said, yeah, I'd be fine with the trade. But if not, then the Cardinals are going to have to look outside the organization, either trade or free agency. I'm going to get your guys' thoughts on that when we come back from break. Stick with us. You're watching Cardinal Territory.
This episode of FT is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. Give me an example in Pennsylvania, Kratz.
Right down the street from my house, the Tap House. Not only is it an awesome place to hang out, get your beers, get your drinks, whatever it is, but you know what? The company has the simplicity of Square, and they give back to the community with 10% of all the proceeds that they bring in going back to community projects.
I love it. Sports and sports bars are so good at bringing together local communities, and you can actually take this ad as an excuse to go support your local spot and have yourself a day or a weekend in the neighborhood. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. These businesses are what make the neighborhood the neighborhood. So visit square.com/go/foul to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. Again, that's square.com/go/foul to learn more. Kratz Pop Quiz. What has 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, comes in excellent flavors like, of course, chocolate, vanilla, but chocolate peanut butter, my favorite. No added sugar, gluten-free, under $5 per meal, and is ready to drink.
Go out the house, get yourself a Huel. Look at you. You even have one right there. Ready to smack that, John? Chocolate, peanut butter, chocolate, and vanilla. Deliciosos.
Also, there is a new daily greens ready to drink, 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods. Only 25 calories on that one, 4 grams of fiber. There's flavors like blueberry, apple, peach. Huel makes healthy eating simple. They also just launched into Target stores nationwide. Try both products today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with the code FOUL at huel.com/FOUL. Use that code FOUL and fill out the post-checkout survey to help support FT.
Sounds good to me. I'm just waiting for them to send us free product. And then you can have Lance Lynn or Kyle Gibson drinking your energy drink or displaying your product as long as you give them some free stuff. Are you guys on board with that?
Yeah. We'll call that retirement bod.
Yeah. We
That'll
have
retire
Lance
himself.
Lynn
Let's do it.
and we have Kyle Gibson, who we just lost.
There he
I'm
is.
here.
There he is.
Sorry, I'm here.
He always comes back. So before the
Yep.
break, we talked about and I think it's not a possibility. I think it's going to happen where the Cardinals are going to have to go outside the organization. They have some young arms. Are they ready? I don't know. They have some guys in the rotation now that should be back, and they've shown me they can pitch, but they're going to need some help. So I gave you guys a little homework assignment, and I gave you guys like 25 minutes to work on it, so you should be ready. Give me one or two guys that are either free agents or you think realistically could be acquired via trade that could help the Cardinals. I'll start with Lance because he answered my text first.
I've got two guys, and I think I talked about them earlier this year. I got Jordan Montgomery, which probably won't be ready till June-ish, but I also have Giolito, Lucas Giolito, who they said all signs are healthy and all that, and both of those guys are kind of in a hey, we got to prove it. They're in the age bracket to where hey, we gotta have a prove it type deal, and if they do well, you trade them, you get something for them. But if they do really well, then you got a nice combo of veteran guys that do it a little differently. That could be really good for the group that we've talked about already today. They both are different type of thinkers, which will bode well with each guy or different guys in the clubhouse. So those are my two that I would go out and get. And I mean, obviously, I don't know what either one of them are looking for, but Montgomery's probably in a situation where he's going to take a one with an option type thing, and Giolito's he's got to prove that he's healthy after the little hiccup that he had right at the end of the year too. But I've played with both. They're both ex teammates, and they're both great guys, and they both know how to pitch, and they know how to pitch at a high level in different types of ways. So I like them.
Yeah, I think
How
that
about you, Kyle?
I think that the two guys that I think I talked about, a few weeks ago, one would be Zach Eflin. Don't know what Zach would be looking for, but man, what a great guy. Really good thinker. Would be great for those young guys. And I think the other one that I mentioned that Lance laughed at me because I had no idea what the projected salary is going to be for him. But I would look at a guy like Zach Gallen, and I would look at him and think about if these young pitchers, if you really believe you have the right group for the next 4 years, 3 to 4 years, then you need that guy to lead that group for those 3 or 4 years. That would just be my opinion. And if a guy like Quinn Matthews or somebody becomes, a dominant lefty that you believe he can be, now all of a sudden you have a really formidable 1-2 punch to go along with the other 3 or 4 guys. So that's I don't know. That would just be my
Do
plan.
you think Billy D goes over $100 million for a pitcher this offseason?
I don't know. See, that's the beauty is here. Jim did not ask me anything about Mr. DeWitt and that
No,
group.
this is
He
my
just asked me.
question. This is my question. Do you think Billy D goes over 100 mil this offseason for a starting pitcher?
I think that if Chaim Bloom
The answer is no,
believes that
Kyle, and you know it.
I
If you're
what I was
if you're
going to
getting rid of
say,
Sonny Gray, if you're getting rid of Sonny Gray, you're not spending $100 million on a damn thing.
I understand, but you have Sonny Gray for 1 year. Zach Gallen's going to be 5 years probably. Now all of a sudden you're into this window that you believe you need to be to bring Cardinals fans winning baseball again. That is why I would bring in Zach Gallen to go through this window of the next 4 or 5 years.
Okay, so Zach Gallen and you're mentioning Sonny Gray. So Sonny Gray's 25 a year was his number.
No, this is his last year at 35, I
Well, I
think,
know
isn't it?
that, but that was his number of his deal. 3 for
Okay.
75. That was his number. All right,
Yep.
so
Yep.
Gallen's probably looking for 6 for 150
Okay.
at that. The
Yeah.
question that I have is if I
Yeah.
just I just think that it's hey, we're gonna take money away. Let's sprinkle in some 1 for 5s to 10s. Let's see where we're at. Come
You think he's
Maybe.
going to get
Maybe.
150, Lance? You
I think
think
he's gonna
Gallen
get.
would get?
He's getting at least 5. I mean, if he
He's
wants to take a shorter deal, it's going to be over. He's younger than Sonny was when he got his deal. So if it's a
Gallen's
three
30.
year,
Gallen's 30.
yeah. So if he's going to get at least 4, and it's going to be over. It's going to be 25 to 30 a year, at least, in my opinion. So I don't
All
think
right.
that fits the mold of the Cardinals offseason. And I
But I
hope it.
also
I
don't
hope I'm
think we
wrong.
know how
In
Heim.
my
I
in
don't think
my
we know
in
how
my
Heim's going to approach this.
true. But in my opinion, if you're going to do that, you keep Sonny, and next thing you know, with those starters we're talking about, you're in the
I
thick of
think
the
that's what we
century.
talked about already. I agree,
We're in
but
the thick of
I
the
look
century.
back. I look back and see how Texas did it. Those couple years after we were no longer there, right? Everybody probably thought that they were a little nuts going into 2022, bringing in Seager and Simeon and putting
Mhm.
Staples at the middle of the field. And they're like, well, they didn't add any pitching. How is this going to play out? Well, then
Yeah.
2023, they got their pitching.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm
They
with you.
had,
Here's the
So I
thing:
mean, I
is
think like you can
I
do the
don't
same thing. You can bring
I
in a
don't think.
Gallon, and then now
Yeah,
it helps you for the next 4 years.
I'm with
Allen
you.
had a
I don't
rough
think
had
that.
a rough season last year, right?
Yeah, the
I
Gallon
just wonder if that hurts
postseason,
his.
the things he's done in the postseason, and you're looking at worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, he's 4 for 25 a year, in
Yeah.
my
All
opinion.
right.
And if
Well,
he wants to do a shorter deal, he's going to get more than 25 on a shorter term deal.
all right. Well, I think we gave folks some things to think about as we focused on pitching today because we had both our pitchers, Matt Holliday, not here this week. Hopefully he rejoins us next week. But gentlemen, you did give us a lot to think about. Always a pleasure, even though Kyle Gibson took a couple of shots at me. Didn't appreciate that, but I appreciate spending some time with you.
Thanks, Jim.
and
Have
it
a
was
great day.
and it was nice seeing your daughter as well. That's going to do it for this edition of Cardinal Territory. We'll have another one coming up shortly. We hope that one will not suck.